Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day, and above all else, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached a milestone. Yes, episode 25 of our 31 perfect albums. I'm joined again. Sorry, it's a Sunday morning, guys. Difficulty here with me. I'm joined again by my illustrious crew. We have Bill Schuster. How's it going, Bill?
Doing well for this many shows in a row here. We're killing it.
Yes, we are.
Glad to be here doing it some more.
There we go. There we go. How's it going, Ken?
Doing well. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. This is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. And the one and only Mr. Jim Bricker. How's it going, Jim?
I'm doing pretty well, Armando. Happy Sunday. Glad to be with all y'all.
Happy Sunday. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we have reached a milestone, episode 25, day 25 also, of our 31 perfect albums. And as I've been saying during this series, these are albums that we believe are perfect. From track one to track 10, all killer, no filler. And hopefully, by watching these episodes and listening to this long list, maybe you found an album that you want to dive into and listen, and a new artist that you might want to discover. I myself, as we just before we started taping, mentioned that I have two packages arriving from Amazon.ca. And the culprits or the ones to blame for those packages are on this panel right now. So, um, and I thank you for this. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into day 25. And as we're going to switch things up today, guys, as I see on my screen, yes, Ken is alarmed.
Ooh.
We are going to go with Jim first, and then Bill, and then Ken.
Okay.
So,
Shaken and stirred. Let's
down to
We're going to be
do
so
this.
confused.
Mr. Jim. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't have any props, so I can't have the traditional start either. All right, so day 25. So unlike everyone else, I am still stuck in the 80s. But it's not a bad thing because there's a lot of great music that came from this time. Um, I did want to just kind of explain just a little bit that the reason that's, if you look at the bell curve of my albums, you've got 60s, 70s, 80s, and then we will actually get to 2015 by the end of this. But for me, I think it takes a long time to sit with an album to really have some kind of objective view of whether or not it's perfect. Just because there can be so much excitement about a new release and just, sitting with something that you're excited about can sort of skew any objectivity you have about whether something is kind of flawless and should be held in like the highest regard. So that's why so much of my stuff is from the 70s and the 80s, for that reason, plus the fact that these are albums I've listened to more than darn near anything else. And so they really kind of stick around with me, and um, they're kind of obvious choices to me. So that's my explanation of why I'm such a laggard in time with everyone. But I'm not going to change my list. I'm happy with it. So day 25, 1985. It's an album that was talked about before, and I believe Armando had it on his list. This is Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. Um, it's broad strokes of pop, carefully seasoned with soul and prog throughout. The whole album screams to be listened to in one lump sum. Um, the songs from the radio, Shout, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Head Over Heels. They're great pop songs in and of themselves, but when you listen to it in the context of the entire album and what Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith did with structuring the whole record, it just is more of an impressive listen. Skipping the singles, you wouldn't hear Mother's Talk. You wouldn't hear I Believe. And, that's kind of the virtually the centerpiece of the album. And they just make you know, excellent bookends of side one and the beginning of side two. The whole thing is truly, truly flawless. And if you haven't listened to it, in a while, give it some time. Again, give it the whole way through. If someone has never heard the entire album, you're in for a super treat. It is so, so good. These songs were so ubiquitous when they came out that it's easy to get sick of songs if you hear them on the radio all the time or people have them going through their stereos or whatnot. But I don't think I ever got sick of this stuff. I recognized that I heard it all the time and there was a risk of oversaturation, but they were just so, so well done that it just never even entered my mind to think, "Yeah, I'm just so sick of this." I would, want to hear something else just for something different. But these were things that I did never get tired of and or sick of, and I know I won't. So, Songs from the Big Chair, day 25 for me.
Hell of a choice. Sorry. Anyone else want to chime in before I open my big mouth? And
That's well said.
this album, when it came out, Songs from the Big Chair, this was a time where, Duran Duran were on their way out, kind of. They were just petering out in terms of popularity. They would splinter off to do their solo projects with Arcadia and Power Station. You had other pop bands like Wham. This album just stood out, Songs from the Big Chair, excuse me, stood out just from above everybody else
Yeah.
in terms of what was out there.
One last comment I do want to make about this is that there's a recent episode of the Album Years podcast and YouTube videos by Stephen Wilson and Tim Bowness, where they cover, albums, in a certain year, and they most recently covered 85. And when they were talking about Songs from the Big Chair, when they would talk to other musicians who were around during that time, or they just read, interviews and things from that era, everyone pretty much universally said this album was a game changer. It's kind of like, everyone thought they were releasing things that were good. Here comes Roland and Kurt, and basically as if to say, "Oh yeah, match this." And like I said, it's like everyone had to level up because the stakes had been raised. This album is that good.
I get it. I get it. And also, I'll give you one more. Guys watching out there, if you can find this, there's the classic album series on documentaries that came out. There's a BBC classic albums episode with the recording and the history of Songs from the Big Chair. If you can find it on YouTube, or I can't seem to find it, I had to download it. Yes, you heard me. I had to download it to watch it in its entirety, and it is quite good. It is very good. It's from 2020. If you can find it, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. No, it's a really good choice. All right, over to Bill.
Yeah, it is a good choice. You can never have too much Tears for Fears on the list. I'm not going to argue with that.
Nope.
All right, my first choice today. I left off with Hole in '94 at the last episode. I'm jumping ahead a full decade to 2004. This is another female-fronted band, as the trend I've been on for the last few episodes. This is very different than any of the ones that I talked about before. This is the second album from this band. The album is called Seven, and the band is Magenta. It's the regular original edition. Here's one that came out later that remastered, has the full 5.1 surround sound DVD and all that good stuff, interviews and everything. And for me, it was well worth it because I love this album so much. This was actually one of the first, say, 4 or 5 albums that came to mind when the whole idea came up, when Jim brought up this whole idea of perfect albums, because I've long thought this was exactly that. There's not a single song, I think, that rises above the others or sinks lower than the others. It's an album, and all 7 songs are absolutely brilliant. This is a band that is known for being huge fans of classic progressive rock, especially the big obvious Yes and Genesis, as well as a bit of Renaissance, among others. The Renaissance comes out mostly probably in the vocals of Christina Booth. In fact, Annie Haslam of Renaissance even did a guest vocal on a single by Magenta years back. They flat out said early on that it was their mission to make music that their old progressive rock heroes refused to make anymore. So you will hear little familiar sounds, little hints and quotes, and yeah, it's a fun listen. I wouldn't call it derivative, I would call it a tribute, but it's also very original at the same time. Rob Reed is the main man behind the band. He plays keys and writes all the music. Sometimes Christina writes the lyrics, but on this album, it's all by Rob's brother, Steve. And the concept is the 7 deadly sins, but they take it in a different direction. Like, say, they look at lust. That's one of the songs. Typically, you would think that would be something sexual, but no, they take it. It's a song about a Welsh witch and Matthew Hopkins, the witch hunter, and it's about the lust for power. Gluttony, typically people think gluttony would be about eating too much something, but in this case, it's more this one-sided, very codependent, abusive relationship where this woman absolutely, essentially devours herself to devote everything about her to her man. So they're coming. Every song has a different twist on these classic 7 deadly sins here, which makes it pretty cool. They didn't go the boring, easy route, and I like that about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sound is pristine on this. It's even better if you get special edition. But if you love old school Yes and Genesis and Renaissance and all that kind of stuff, you have to give this at least one listen. They have a bunch of albums out, but this is still my favorite. And yeah, it's probably one of my top 5 albums of the 21st century. So
Wow.
it's a big favorite. Magenta 7 from 2004.
Nice.
I look forward to listening to that at some point. I've never heard about it.
Now, you mentioned it before. I should check it out. I have the latest Magenta release from at least a couple of years ago. I think a year and a half ago. Amazing. Really good album.
Good too.
All right. Over to Ken.
Okay. I'm going to dip my big toe into 1990. Matter of fact, January 15th. I mentioned before on an earlier episode, I like me some jangly guitars of the late 80s and 90s. So this is going to be a little bit of dream pop, indie pop. Band only released 3 albums, and I love all of them, but this is their debut album by a band called the Sundays, and the album is Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic. This is just the epitome of a really good feel-good album. That beautiful voice of Harriet Wheeler and those wonderful guitars of Dave Gavurin. I first heard the single "Here's Where the Story Ends." I'm not even sure where I heard it, but that was just, it's one of those songs that you hear it within the first 30 seconds and you just want more. And of course, like we've said before, without streaming, you go buy the album, and that's exactly what I did. I've never been much of a 45 single guy, so I usually jump in all the way to my knees. This is one of those albums that bought the vinyl, put it on cassette, and just kept it in my Walkman, you know, for weeks. Didn't listen to anything else. Um, you know, I can't really say much more than that. If you really like late 80s, early 90s, good melodies, the songs have wonderful hooks to them, both vocally and the guitar. Um, this is it. This is a good Sunday morning album. You know,
Mhm.
just take coffee, just lean back, and just let this wash over you. Yeah, 38 and a half minutes of pure joy. Reading, writing, and arithmetic by the Sundays.
Yeah.
Great choice.
That was on my top 5 for that year when we did our year by year album favorites.
Rightfully so, yeah.
Yes, guys, check out those episodes, please. We did a great job on those episodes. Yeah, I remember that. And I don't mind a shameless plug. So, it's true. No, we worked hard on those episodes. No, that's a good choice. It's another band I really have to check out. My poor bank account. Jesus Christ. All right,
Just a
ladies and
small
gentlemen. My pick for day 25. We are going to March 28th, 1995 for the sophomore release of the Tea Party's Edges of Twilight. Tea Party from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I always got to put that in there. A trio. This is one of those, can we light a match or lighter for a second? Because this band needs and deserves a lot of praise and respect and admiration. This is their second major label release for Chrysalis in the US and EMI Canada, and Chrysalis in the UK and Europe. 12 tracks. If I was to describe the stylings or the music of the Tea Party, they are a cross between the Doors with Led Zeppelin, with a good amount of Middle Eastern instrumentation put in, fronted by lead vocalist Jeff Martin. You have Jeff Martin on guitars and vocals, Stuart Chatwood on bass and keyboards and Mellotron. Yes, Mellotron, various instruments, and Jeff Burrows on drums, percussion, tabla, various instruments. Sublime. Sublime. I have said that and I'm going on record now as saying if it wasn't for the Tea Party, I don't know where I would have been in terms of me listening to music in the 90s. These were one of those bands I would run to the record store when I knew that the release was coming out. This came out as a big surprise. Starts off with the lead off single Fire in the Head, and it is bombastic, melodic, heavy. Segues into the second single, The Bazaar. Again, the Middle Eastern influences, use of sitar, tabla, heavy guitars comes into play, and it segues again into the 7 minute plus correspondences. Beautiful, very pastoral kind of a touch on this track, heavy nonetheless. And then that also segues into the instrumental, The Badger, which the use of hurdy-gurdy is heard, acoustic guitar, very lush, very intricate. Silence is next, just 2 minutes plus, but very intricate in its arrangement and different sections. Then it segues into the third single from the album, Sister Awake. God damn. This one track alone, there were 52 instruments on this one track, all played by the band. They had to sync up 3 recording machines in order to hold all the instrumentation that went into this one track. I can just imagine mixing this mother lover of a track. It must have been hell trying to get everything in sync and trying to get everything done in various sections, 3 different sections, but it is intricate, it is delicate, it is bombastic, it is rocking. It's the Tea Party. That's just side one. Side two starts off with, this is where the blues element comes in. Turn the Lamp Down Low, which is just bombast, like you would not believe, just heavy, amazing. Then Shadows on the Mountainside, the fourth single from the album, which is very folk-oriented, acoustic. Drawing Down the Moon, it's another blues influence track. Inanna is next, where again the Middle Eastern influences come into play. Again, a lot of use of sitar and acoustic guitar and tabla percussion. Damn, just amazing, beautiful, beautiful. Coming Home, again, another blues oriented track, and it ends with Walk With Me. Again, very goes in, has different sections, very atmospheric use of mellotron and keyboards, guitars, and the choruses come in and the band is in full flight, just bashing it out, just heavy, melodic, memorable. I can't say enough about this album. I've said too much already, but and then there's after Walk With Me, there's I would say about a 2-minute gap of silence, and then a beautiful acoustic piece comes in with Roy Harper doing a spoken word section over this piece of music that's you hear playing, and it's just brilliant. Clocks in at 67 minutes and 21 seconds, but you know what? It's not time wasted at all. I swear to God. Again, this group saved my sanity during the 90s. And I can't say enough about them. They should be praised more. This was to be considered their breakthrough in the US. The album was produced by Ed Stasian, who had worked with other artists such as I was going to say In Living Color on Vivid from 1988. But they would soon leave Chrysalis and sign with Atlantic for their follow-up release, for their third release from 97. They never got their fair due in the States. They're, again, as I think I said, they're big in Australia, huge in Canada, and you really should check them out. Just beautiful. Yeah. I
Yeah, I
can't
need
say
to do
enough
that.
about this.
Yeah.
I think you should. I think you should. Bill and I are going to be doing at some point, we've been
Off delayed.
talking about this, doing a new music discovery series of episodes on the Tea Party, which, ladies and gentlemen, we will. And you really need to check them out. You can check this out on YouTube, this album. It is just amazing. It is amazing. Just quickly, they were able to I mean, just even the production, the sound of the productions is just, words fail me. They're able to get this huge drum sound, just very bombastic. And oh God, Kurt Hammett of Metallica said about Rush, it's just amazing that 3 musicians were able to produce such grand and just opulent music in terms of their sound. And it's amazing to me that this trio, Tea Party, were able to do the same thing with their instrumentation and their production. That's my choice for day 25. Tea Party, Edges of Twilight. I don't know what else to say. It's not much that can be said. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it for day 25 of 31 Perfect Albums. Again, we're enjoying bringing these to you and bringing these episodes to you. And please put in the comments down below what you feel is a perfect album. And yes, I will say it again. You can talk about Taylor Swift. No judgment here. But
Can we
these
put the
are-
Shags in there?
What was that?
Can we put the Shags in there?
The Shags. Okay.
We need to have a discussion.
Okay. All right. Off camera. All right.
Okay.
Off camera. Okay.
Yes. No.
There will be shagging off camera, folks. You heard it here
Yes.
first.
Hey,
Yes.
hey, let's keep it clean.
Hey,
Family channel.
you said
here.
it, not me. Not me. This is a family
I'm
show.
not the one that brought up the shags.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're having fun with these episodes. These are just our opinions. And if you want to discover something new, like the Tea Party or like the Sundays, please, by all means, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
What do you have to lose? Except for me, my money, because I do tend to buy it quite a bit. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, for Jim, Bill, and Ken, I am Armando. Sinuses and all, signing off. We will talk to you very soon with episode 26 of 31 Perfect Albums. All right. Have a good day. Bye for now.